The shutdown was ugly, but this sellout compromise is even worse. There are two things that are true. The first is that the GOP created this problem, and second, that Senate Dems have failed to be an effective opposition party. We've let the GOP burn down another part of this country, and our own party won't take the matches away from them. If you don't know me, I'm Colin McRoberts. I'm running for Congress in the 1st District of Kansas as a Democrat. I'm a negotiation expert. And this video is just a quick day of explainer of where we stand, why it's wrong, and what the next steps are. And from here, I'll try to do some more videos about negotiation tactics in Congress and how our incumbents are failing us by not negotiating effectively. First, let's be blunt. The shutdown has been brutal, and the pain has fallen mostly on the people who are least able to afford it. And that's primarily the people who get food aid, wondering where their next meal is going to come from, and the loyal federal workers who are going unpaid and getting fired in massive rifts during the shutdown. But the shutdown existed for a reason. Those hungry people and those federal workers, the GOP has been screaming all year long that those people are their enemy. It's been attacking them in brutal, immoral, and unethical ways, even illegal ways, all year long. They even made an emergency appeal to the Supreme Court just a couple of days ago to slap the food aid out of the hands of hungry Americans because states were starting to pay that money out, as was legally required. The GOP is completely out of control, and it's our job as the opposition party to rein them in. But since the GOP controls Congress and courts and the White House, Dems had almost no leverage to fight for the bare minimum. The shutdown was painful, but there was almost nothing else Dems could do. And when a negotiator is down to just one tactic, that walk away, you have to really know what it is you're playing for. You can't say, give me everything I want or else I'll walk away, because they won't. They'll just say you're being unreasonable. If the Democrats had said, do these 15 things or else we walk away, or Republicans would have had a much stronger argument for saying no. So instead, Dems did the right thing and drew a line at one critical issue, which this time was the affordability of health insurance. If you're not familiar, there's a federal program that keeps the cost down for millions of Americans. That program barely makes insurance affordable as it is, and it's expiring. Dems were insisting that the GOP agree to extend it. And we all knew they would say no. We all knew it would be a fight. We all knew it would probably require a shutdown. And most importantly, we knew that shutdown would require huge sacrifices. But that's the thing. We made those sacrifices. Americans suffered so that Dems in Congress could do something to put the country back in order. It would have been worth it if we'd managed to stabilize the healthcare system. But now a few weak members of the Senate are selling out to the GOP, giving them everything, and they're doing it in exchange for almost nothing. Now, we're not sure exactly what the deal is going to look like because it's still in relatively early stages as I record this, but we basically get three things in this terrible deal as it's being reported right now. A vote on healthcare, a reversal of some of the illegal firings Republicans have done, and presumably they'll stop going to court to try to end SNAP benefits. And those are the food payments that go to over 6% of Kansans and about 40 million people nationwide, just to put food on the table. So first, a vote on health care is a meaningless promise. Senate Republicans have agreed to vote on whether or not to continue those ACA subsidies, and those are the ones that make insurance affordable, but they haven't agreed how they'll vote in that vote. Well, they want the system to crash and burn because they've always hated the ACA. They'll burn it down and they'll blame Obama or they'll blame Biden while they're shaking out the matches. But it probably won't even matter how the Senate votes. You need the House to vote too. And as far as I've seen, House Republicans haven't agreed to anything on this. I wouldn't trust them if they did. Remember that Speaker Johnson is refusing to seat a duly elected Democratic Congresswoman because she's probably going to vote to release Epstein documents that would be embarrassing to the GOP. I have not seen an ethical or legal line the GOP leadership in the House won't cross, which is one of the reasons I'm running for Congress, to try and change that leadership. But it's also a very obvious problem for a negotiator. The solution is also very obvious. You don't trust someone who isn't trustworthy. But the Democratic sellouts did, and so they got out-negotiated. What the Senate Republicans could do now is just let Johnson sink the deal for them and shrug their shoulders and say they lived up to the letter of the promise. It's an old negotiation trick, and it's so obvious you could see it from space. The sellouts voluntarily fell for it. On the illegal firings, the second point, these are the unlawful rifts the administration has done to slash jobs during the shutdown. An incredibly foolish thing to do in this economy, but more importantly, an illegal thing to do those firings during a shutdown. And the courts were already doing their job, stepping in to protect those jobs. So the turncoats got rooked again. Americans sacrificed to give them a place to stand in their negotiations, and they sold it for something they were getting anyway. And in fact, they got rooked twice on this point because the administration is just going to start mass crazy firings again once the shutdown is over. Because now they know the GOP majority in the Senate has enough soft Dems in their pocket to give them cover for it. So the last point is SNAP. These Democrats will say they had to fold to make sure that SNAP gets funded because people have to eat. That's true. But again, we were already winning in court to get that done, and we had time for that fight. November SNAP payments were fully paid in Kansas, thanks to the governor going over Chris Kobach's head to get our people fed. Meanwhile, Trump is being booed in public because people are rightly blaming him for fighting to end food aid, along with Tracy Mann and Roger Marshall. Those two already killed USAID and already are regretting it because they're getting booed also. Those two can't get a farm bill done because they're too busy trying to make sure people go hungry. And we should hold them accountable for that, not cave in to make it easier for them. I'm a negotiator, but you don't have to be an expert to know this is god-awful negotiation. When you've drawn a line in the sand, you can't give up in exchange for nothing. It just shows that you are never serious, and it trains the other side to push you around harder in the future. It dishonors the sacrifices Americans have made to give them room to negotiate. So here's what's likely to happen next. The healthcare renewals are less likely to pass than ever. So a lot of Kansans will see their premiums go up by as much as 30%. And that's just at first. It's going to go up from there. A lot of people will have to let their coverage lapse because the premiums are already unaffordable. Fewer people paying premiums will drive up the cost for everybody else. That's just inherent to how insurance works. It will also keep people from getting preventive care and non-emergency care, which is going to put a whole new world of hurt on hospitals, especially rural hospitals. Kansas is already the state with the highest number of rural hospitals at risk of closing, 25 of them. An ACA collapse will push hospitals over the edge, leaving more of our state without health care. We'll see what tomorrow brings, but this is an ugly deal, again, as it's being reported right now. The sellout Dems who bent the knee are going to regret it, at least the ones who are running for re-election. It's no surprise that some of them are retiring. They're the ones who feel like they don't need to worry about justifying this to their constituents. Others, like Schumer, are using them as cover to duck the blame for giving into the GOP again. But the people who are really going to regret it are the rest of us. And this is particularly ugly since it comes right after our huge wins last Tuesday. Voters were overwhelmingly rejecting the GOP for mismanaging the country and turning to Democrats to stop them. A few sellouts in the Senate heard that cry for leadership, and they said no to us. So now it's more important than ever that we flip the House and the Senate. We need to put people back in control who give a damn about how DC affects the rest of us. And it looks like that means putting pressure on leadership in the Democratic Party too. I'm Colin McRoberts. I'm running for Congress in the 1st District in Kansas. We can do better than this. With your help, we will do better than this. Follow me. I'll start doing some more videos about the negotiation tactics in DC. In the meantime, we'll see what tomorrow brings. Good luck. God bless. We're going to need all the help we can get.